Hello everybody, welcome back to the AOR Hype Energy F3 League for the PS4. This is round number 15, which takes place at the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. My name is Kieran McGidley, and joining me in the commentary booth, as always these days, is Austin Smith. Austin, how are you tonight?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. We're coming up to arguably the most demanding track on the calendar. 23 corners and looking at a race time of pretty much 1 hour, maybe just shy of. How do you think the drivers have been preparing for a race like this?
Well, I hope for one that they have placed some kind of fluid right next to them, some kind of drink, beverage, whatever you want to call it. So
I know I have.
that in yeah, same. I know, because in case these conditions might get to them, they would want to take a drink and be refreshed for the rest of the race. There is some opportunity here to take a drink. Start finish straight is probably not the best. I would say out of turn 5, when we go onto Raffles Boulevard, there is a little bend in the straight, but I think you can do that with one hand. So that is definitely an opportunity there to just take a little drink. Keep the bottle open though. That is very important, because you don't have to make sure that you open it, because that will take too much time.
No, absolutely, and the levels of concentration. I mean, I've raced here before at Singapore, and you're in that sort of party with all of your friends, and you think, yeah, let's have a good conversation, and then you realise it's just been an hour of silence, and the only time people talk is in the pit lane. It requires that much concentration, and I mean, Austin and I were talking about which is more challenging, the Monaco Grand Prix or the Singapore Grand Prix. I would have to say Singapore, because although you've got a bit more room for the cars, there is an opportunity to go too wide more often at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. But you know, you're running these cars for nearly an hour. I mean, Monaco's a lot shorter. It's not as demanding. You know, the walls are slightly closer. I'll give you that. But in terms of Singapore, the amount of concentration that goes into it for almost an hour, it is tiring.
Indeed, it is. It is very hard to keep up the concentration, and you have to do a lot of stuff during the race as well. It's not just that you have to brake and accelerate and take the corners, and you don't get much time to relax. You also have to manage the tire temperature, which is very, very demanding here. It is very easy to overheat these tires, and it's a challenge, definitely, as the hyper softs, ultra softs and softs are the 3 tires of choice here. The super softs skipped once again. I don't know, they don't get any love this season, do they?
No, absolutely not. But I mean, they might do. Come next season, when we only have the 3 compound colours, but obviously different compounds, they'll get a lot more love next season. That's for sure.
Yeah, as we are now heading into the qualifying 18 minutes, and the top 10 will be bound to their tire choice. Everyone else, 11 and behind, will have a free tire choice for the race start, and they will make use of that, I can tell you that. But it is definitely an interesting circuit, and yeah, arguably the most demanding. I would definitely agree with that.
And we're talking strategy. Obviously, Austin, you've said the Hypersoft tyres are in use for qualifying, but it will be interesting to see how many people commit to the Hypersoft stint, because with the predicted pit stop strategy that is developed, we've gone for the Ultra Softs, with the pit window opening between lap 9 and 11, and then putting on the soft tyres to get to the end of the race. So, I mean, maybe if you're further down the championship and you fancy being in the top 10, maybe you'd put on the Hypersoft tyres. But in terms of Sergey, Demon, and also Dan the Snake with Pit Matt as well, there's a chance of them going onto the Ultra Softs to sort of preserve that race strategy. I mean, what would you do in a championship position, Austin?
If I was in a championship position, I would try to play it as safe as possible here. This is not where you win or lose a championship. We still have 6 races left after this one, and so I would definitely play it easy, go on the one-stop ultra to soft. As for some reason, give me a second, my game is stuck.
Yeah, you've just left the session. Well,
Oh.
hopefully, Austin, we can get you back. Do you need another invite? Because I could
think I
send
got
one your
another
way.
one.
You've got another one.
I think I got another one. That was weird. That was the first time that ever happened to me.
You know what? Technical difficulties don't happen a lot to us, Austin, but when they do, they're big.
Oh yeah. I've never had that before. That really surprised me.
I know, it just came out of the blue. Look at that.
Yeah,
It was solid Ninja
I
Snake.
got stuck on a Renault. That's all I know.
Well, hopefully you'll be back for the end of qualifying at least. Solid Ninja Snake going through the old Singapore sling. Used to love that section actually. Well, maybe in its latter years when it was those 3 curbs. Of course, it's caught so many drivers out. The likes of Kamui Kobayashi also being caught out and going straight on. Clip the curb too much, too greedy on the curbs, and it sends you straight into the wall. Now it's just a much more simpler left-hander as we make our way now towards the Anderson Bridge. And yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic circuit this, as we now make our way towards, I believe, this is turn 19 and 20. You actually go underneath the stadium. And of course, making its debut on the calendar in 2008 with the infamous Renault incident, Nelson Piquet Jr., the Crashgate scandal, if you like, which allowed Fernando Alonso to pit under the safety car and take the race win. We're going to follow Solid Ninja Snake for a lap of the Singapore Grand Prix as we head down towards turn 1. Obviously on these Hypersoft tyres, much more grip. Still an early turn-in for turn 1. As you can see, the Roadhouse there, his teammate, on the racing line. We now go through the slight kink of 4 and then braking zone for turn 5. Tricky braking zone. You've almost got to brake whilst you're turning as we head through the first DRS zone. Now coming towards turn 6. Keep the steering wheel as light as possible as you make your way down towards turn 7, infamously where Lewis Hamilton and Mark Webber collided all those years ago. As we now head towards turn 8. Tight right-hander. Expect a move up here on the first couple of laps. Now coming towards turn 9. Sharp turn in, but a lenient exit. You've got to open up the steering as much as possible as you now head down towards turn 10 and the old Singapore sling, chucking the car in and hoping it sticks, as then you've got to quickly change direction in towards turn 11. That is going to separate the ballasts as we head down towards turn 13 as we headed over the Anderson Bridge. Watch the traction on the exit of turn 13. Very easy to spin up the rear tyres, and if you're taking your tyres a long distance, you've got to watch out for that. Heading towards turn 14 now, as you can see, a little bit of a late turn in for Solid Ninja Snake. Maybe not the turn in he wanted. Through a slight kink of 15 and in the braking zone for turn 16 as we make our way through 17. Watching the wall on the right hand side, Solid Ninja Snake just gives it a little bit of a love tap as we head underneath the stadium through turn 18 and then through turn 19 as it's right angled corners pretty much all the way now through 20 and 21. Watch the wall on the right hand side as we now head towards the final 2 corners. Double left-hander of 22 and 23, and as you can see, Solid Ninja Snake backs right out of the lap there. Does not want to set his fastest lap on the Hypersofts, but that is a lap of the Marina Bay Street Circuit.
Yes, and he does have provisional pole, or he did have at least for a second there, but now you see some proper lap times coming in. Dan the Snake setting the fastest for now with a 134.8. I reckon we can go a little bit faster around here than that. But these are the first lap times that are coming in, and we'll see how much these drivers can improve. But Dan the Snake, I think, very interesting to talk about. He got 3rd place last race at Italy, and he was basically, in terms of championship standings, he was the championship-wise winner of that race. He didn't win the race. That was Jamie James who took it in front of Apex, but both of them are too far away from the championship lead to gain any significant advantage there and get back into the championship race. Dan the Snake, however, he was 19 points behind Sergey and 13 points behind Demon. Now he's only 10 points behind Demon and 4 behind Sergey. So this is a proper 3-way fight now between Demon, Sergey, and Dan the Snake, who is well and truly within striking distance of the other two.
Absolutely. Well, Dan the Snake top in the leaderboard, 134.8 on those ultra soft tyres, that middle tyre. Gwiggs there, a lot of support for him in the chat tonight. Let us know who you're supporting tonight. Who are the flags flying for? Who's your favourite driver? Maybe we could give him a shout out in the chat. He's currently in P2, 134.9 on a set of Hypersoft tyres. Then it's Sergey in third, Ultra Softs with a 135.1. And as you can see, Demon there, still in the pits and yet to come out onto the circuit. Last time's race winner, Jammy James, currently out there on a set of Hypersoft tyres as he makes his way through towards turn 13. Very easy to lock up at this track. You want that, those brakes to be as sharp as possible, especially around a street circuit. But it is just so easy to lock up those tyres and lock those brakes, and you get a flat spot in them, you ruin them for the rest of the stint. So it's all about keeping those tyres as clean as possible, as with the Ferrari then coming underneath the stadium section in turns 18 and 19 as we make our way through these right angled corners. Not many rooms for overtaking, or not much room for overtaking I should say, as Jamie James come back into the pits, maybe for a sighter lap that was. Drez there on the soft tyre, the hardest possible compound today, currently out there on a flying lap, is he? I'm not entirely sure, but he is on the soft tyres. Did tap the wall there, and has he got damage on that front wing? He has, on the left-hand side. So, hardest possible tyre, front wing damage.
This is not a flying lap, as he was on no ERS deployment, so he definitely was making his way into the pits, and he does so. Needs to repair this front wing ASAP, but he's got 10.5 minutes. His pit crew will be able to do that in time, so not much worry there for Drez. But let's see if someone else is on a good lap right now. Roadhouse coming in. Cronexus is in hot lap mode, so it looks like Cronexus is trying to set another lap time on the soft. So probably not a competitive lap time, but just trying to get a feel for the circuit. I would reckon getting a feel for the conditions right now. And he does improve to 137.5 up in the P8, but I reckon he will come into the pits at some point and put on the ultra softs and run one stint, one attempt on these tires to qualify as high as possible. I think that's how it is going to shape up. I'm surprised to see some drivers already using the ultra softs right now. Usually I would have expected everyone to wait until the end of the session when the conditions are, as almost always, the best, unless it starts to rain, but we have no indication that it's going to start to rain here. Then again, it's hard to see, as the sky is completely dark, and we can't really see any clouds, but I am surprised. Generally, the way these qualifying sessions do shape up, where you have not the softest compound to be the best to qualify on, that everyone waits for a final run.
Absolutely. Our weatherman, Roadhouse, currently in P9, has given us an update on the weather. It's set to be dry for both sessions. So the only thing that could make us go over the hour mark is a safety car. And Austin, you were saying to me right before the stream that the Singapore circuit is the only race on the calendar that has a 100% safety car record. A safety car has made an appearance at every race since its debut on the calendar in 2008.
Indeed, 11 races since, one safety car at least in every race, 18 total. So it is, it has a very unique record here. Then again, I think it's pretty hard to compare because, for example, Monaco has been around since the 50s, so it's pretty unfair. But at the same time, I don't think there's any track that has this kind of record, even over the last 10 or 11 years, that every race features at least one safety car appearance.
Oh, sorry, I just cut over you there, Austin, but Pit Matt, very late in deciding he wanted to come into the pit lane and actually damaged his front wing on the way in. Now, that's not necessarily a problem if you're coming in, because normally in single player you're given a time sort of waiting period, but here the damage is fixed instantly in qualifying, so you can just get straight back out there, which is a good thing if you make a mistake out there. It's just the pain of having to come in and lap the entire circuit before you can come back to the pit lane. Alex Musica, he has won a race this season, seems to be a little bit hot and cold. Alex Musica had a really tough time at Monza last time out.
Yeah, it is very much up and down for him. Won at France, got a 3rd place at Australia to begin the season, and since then, since France at the very least, it wasn't really a lot for him. He didn't really have a lot for him going. So I'm interested to see if maybe he can bounce back here. Maybe this is one of the tracks that he can get a good showing, get a good result. Considering that the 2 tracks that he did well on being Australia, which is kind of a city circuit, kind of a street circuit, but not really, as there's still some how do you call them again? I'm sorry.
Straights, corners?
No, some exit zones. What are you calling them?
Oh, traction zones. No.
No, wait, like
we're getting closer.
Areas.
Oh, there we go.
Runoff areas like that. Yeah, there's still the walls aren't as close.
Oh, we got there at the end.
Trying to say.
Oh, we got there.
Yeah, we got there. But considering that, even though it is a street circuit, the walls aren't closed. There's runoff areas. There's a little bit of grass here and there. Even some gravel traps, which we don't have here. This is just tarmac and walls. And that's all we have here. There's no grass, no gravel, nothing. And tire barriers, but that's about it. And France being just the widest circuit ever, with all the blue lines and red lines and all the runoff areas in the world, it's very interesting to see how he does here. If we compare his performance, or if we look at his performance at 2 other similar, definitely not the same, but similar tracks, being Azerbaijan and Monaco, he got a 14th place and a DNF. So, not that good of an omen, but he's got 2nd place for now in the standings, in the qualifying. So that's very encouraging for him. I would reckon Demon now with the fastest lap. Everyone, by the way, or at least the top 2, on the Hypersoft. So I wonder how that's going to shape up. Demon, we talked about it before. You asked me the qualifying strategy for those that are involved in the championship, and here you can see it shape up very interestingly. Demon goes for something a lot different than his 2 opponents, Dan the Snake and Sergey, who are both on the Ultrasoft. He qualified on the Hyper to take the pole position, and my guess is that he's hoping for a safety car in the race very early on, because otherwise he might struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you say there, the Hypersoft tyres, I'm surprised to see that the front runners go for the Hypersoft tyres. They're obviously prioritising grid position as Sergey comes towards the line and takes top spot for now, 133.5. But I am surprised to see them on the Hypersoft tyres. I mean, we've got Dan the Snake there, who has currently set his best lap time on the Ultra tyres, but he has equipped the Hypersofts and is ready to go. As I am surprised. I am surprised so many people are on the Hypersoft tyres, because this is not very durable tyre. It really harks back to the days when teams would just bring along a qualifying tyre. It'd be good for 1 lap, and then for the rest of it, that would be it. Remember, they'll go through a heat cycle, and once we get to about lap 4 in the Grand Prix, they're going to be absolutely toast. So, really trying to hold on to those tyres. I think they're trying to hold out for a safety car. You know, they've seen the circuit stats. In the past, there's been a safety car at every single race. They're hoping that that sort of safety car tradition carries on here, so that they can take those Hypersoft tyres as long as they would the Ultra Softs, and then put on a set of soft tyres to take them to the end of the race. But yeah, I mean, no risk, that's for sure. They want to play it, you know, aggressive. But if they're all doing the same thing, then I don't see why they shouldn't go for the Hypersofts anymore.
Well, they're not all doing the same thing. Dan the Snake is running the opposite strategy. He, however, has the Hypersofts fitted right now, so the question becomes, will he set a proper lap time, or does he say, you know what, I'm 4th place right now, I'm just behind Sergey and Demon, who are right now 1 and 2, and then Alex Musica in 3rd. Maybe it's the better strategy call to not set a lap time and hope that no one is going to improve ahead of him. I mean, he's got FAP Alex behind him, who already has set his lap time on the Hypersofts, as did Giggs and Francis. The next one would be Mike Tynes, and then everyone on the softs like Jemmy James, Crow Nexus, Roadhouse, Salt Ninja Snake, Elite Gameboy, and the 2 drivers that have not set a lap time at all, being Drez and Pip Matt. But maybe the gamble would be a good one here for Dan to take, but I think he does it the right way. He plays it both ways for now. He goes out there, does his out lap, he's going to start a flying lap, and once he sees, hey, I didn't drop too far, I'm still 5th, 6th, something like that, I'm not going to finish my lap, I'm just going to come into the pits.
Well, here he comes then, underneath the stadium section, on those Hypersoft tyres. We've got Demon then, making his way towards the final 2 corners as we head into the final 70 seconds of the session. Demon currently in P2. Sergey has retired, so he's not going to improve. So Demon needs to find at least 3.5 tenths if he wants to take pole position. Alex Musica currently on the 2nd row of the grid in front of Dan the Snake, warming up those tyres. He wants to be one of the last to set a lap time. Dan the Snake is on his flying lap right now as he heads towards turn 5. We've also got Francis out there in P7 on a set of Hypersoft tyres, and Jamie James there currently set his best lap time on a set of soft tyres, now out there on ultra softs. Mike there on a set of Hypersoft, so a lot of the drivers now thinking, let's go for the Hypersoft tyres, let's go for the Hypersoft stint. So it'll be really interesting to see how long they can make those tyres last. Just trying to find who would be the first person to set a lap time. We've got Dan the Snake coming towards the old Singapore sling. We've got Demon coming towards turn 13 there, the hairpin there, as Elite Game Boy jumps up to P10 now on those ultra soft tyres and retires from the session. So he's inside the top 10. Jamie James then wanted to go for that soft tyre. He is out there on a set of ultra soft tyres, wanting to set a better lap time. Let's see who else we've got then. We've got Giggs here making his way through the first couple of corners. He's going to be one of the last to see the checkered flag. Then Alex 20 making his way towards the final 2 corners. He will be one of the first to set his final lap time. Then making his way around the final 2 corners. What can he do? It's P4, 134.6. So it's enough to get him onto the 2nd row of the grid right now. Here comes Demon towards the line. Can he grab pole position? Yes, he can. For now, a 133.4. Great lap from Demon. Can anybody beat it? Alex Musica out there on a flying lap. Dan the Snake has not beaten it. He might have backed out of it because he's still on the ultra soft tyres as his best lap time. So that might be a smart move there. Roadhouse up to P7 on the ultra soft tyres. Good lap time from the McLaren. We've got Francis there making his way through turn 14. Mike Tynes making his way towards turn 14 as well. Alex Musica then in the Williams coming around the final 2 corners. Runs a little bit wide, but what can he do? It's half a second quicker, but he stays P3. Great attempt from Alex Musica. As Griggs there now making his way towards 15 and now through 16. Very easy to lock up the brakes as Giggs just did a little bit there. Francis making his way towards the line. P3 for Francis in the Renault. Fantastic lap time from him. Giggs then making his way through the 90-degree section. Now coming through 20 and 21. Pit Matt retires from the session. He starts in P16 then. Giggs making his way around the final 2 corners, runs a little wide, heads towards the line, and it's P8. Crashes along the line, a 10th up, and that is qualifying over and done with. So pole position goes to Demon.
Yeah, and the last one to settle that time was Drez, who put himself into 6th position. We didn't really fully catch that, but he had a superb lap. And one more thing, Dan the Snake did not slow down. He invalidated his lap time. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I think he's not too worried about it, because look at this right here. He is the #1 driver on the Ultra Softs. Everyone in front of him and 2 drivers behind him are all on the Hypers. So he has a huge strategy advantage. All he needs to do is keep it clean in turns 1 and 2. and stay out of trouble. And or turns 1, 2, and 3 rather. Keep it clean, stay out of trouble, and he should have a strategic advantage over the top 6.
Dan the Snake and the Roadhouse, the only 2 drivers inside the top 10 to not qualify on the Hypersoft tyres. They're on the Ultrasoft tyres, and like you said, Austin, that could be a huge strategic advantage if there's no safety car. Now, the safety car could play a vital role in this race, whether it is deployed or not, and that really depends on what we're going to see on the very first lap then. Turns 1, 2 and 3 are always going to be a bit tricky when you're looking in the first lap, as well as turn 7. Of course, I mentioned earlier the place where Hamilton and Webber collided. Hamilton coming off the worst with that puncture. Turn 13 is an overtaking opportunity, as we saw with Felipe Massa. Brave or stupid, you decide. But he managed to find his way up the inside, locking the brakes, real opposite lock, but managed to slow the car down enough to make the move up the inside. From then on, you've got turn 14 is a good opportunity to throw it up the inside of the right-hander. But from then on, through 15, right through to turn 23, there isn't really a huge braking zone. So if you can get past through turn 14, it's a great opportunity to just hold the car back. 2 DRS zones, one along the start-finish straight with the speed trap just before the braking zone of turn number 1, and then you've got the second DRS zone after turn 5 pretty early on as you head through turn 6 and down to the braking zone of turn number 7. Austin, I'm looking forward to this one, and it could be an hour in the commentary box. I hope you're ready for this.
I am very ready for this. This should be an exciting race, and for once, turns 1, 2, and 3 have a little bit more implications than they used to. Generally, it's always whether the drivers will keep it clean and get through there without incidents, without front wing damage. But this time, it has strategic implications. It is even more important than that. And some drivers, especially at the front, the top 6, as well as Mike Tynes and Giggs da Costa, are hoping for some kind of incident behind them that will lead to a safety car, but we'll see how it goes. I think the chance is the highest in turns 1, 2, and 3 for a safety car, but it might happen elsewhere. You mentioned turn 7 could happen. Hamilton Webber did it. The Singapore sling, very, very narrow, and the wall on the inside of the Singapore sling, very easy to catch, especially if you're trying to run side by side there. Then we're heading to the Anderson Bridge. Also, the wall on the right side on the Anderson Bridge, very easy to catch that one too. And then there's a very tricky spot. If you run on board with a Sergey, right here on the right side, there's a wall sticking out on the right side, just a little bit. If you are running side by side and you catch that, that will end your race, and that might actually lead to a safety car as well. So that is a very tricky spot not many people know about, but out of turn 14 on the right side, there is a little bit of wall that's sticking out, very, very dangerous. And I've seen drivers catch it before, so it can happen again.
Well, as we make our way towards the end of the formation lap, well over 2 minutes this formation lap, but Sergey is going to lead them through. Demon on the line, so Lambo saying in the chat that he could struggle off the line with cold tyres. We're about to wait and see. Moments away then from the Singapore Grand Prix. You're watching the AOR Hype Energy F3 League on the PS4, round number 15. The battle between Demon, Sergey, Dan the Snake and Pitmat rages on. And the Singapore Grand Prix, the Singapore street circuit, could face its toughest challenge yet between these four. We're almost ready to go then. The 5 red lights are on. Round 15 is underway, and what are the starts like? Looks like a little bit of wheel spin from Demon as they make their way down towards turn 1, but it's a fantastic start from the Toro Rosso. There goes Francis trying to go around the outside. It becomes the inside for turn 2, then the outside for turn number 3. As we make our way through, keep an eye out for any debris behind them, but Sergey manages to hold off Francis then as they head towards turn number 5 for the first time. Out of the first sector then, it's Demon leading the way from Sergey. You can see their pit mat trying to make progress behind him, but Francis trying to use the slipstream of Sergey to go round the outside of turn number 7. Has he made the move? Stick then tries to move across as we head towards turn number 8, and he has. Francis up to P2, then Sergey losing out to Francis then, who has had the better start. That's Alex Musica in 4th place, then Alex 20 in 5th. Dan the Snake up a position on those Ultra Softs, remember. He might have a strategic advantage as we head towards the pit stop window then. Roadhouse has stayed in P10. Solid Ninja Snake has dropped a position, and it looks like we've been all clean throughout the first lap. No contact I've seen as we're running on board with Dan the Snake then on those Ultra Soft tyres. He'll just be happy to let the cars in front battle him and be able to try and defend from the cars behind. He's in a great position there to just keep those tyres as going for as long as possible. Last time race winner Jamie James down in P11 at the moment, but remember he's on the Ultra Soft tyres. He's on that predicted strategy, and Mike Tynus here on the Ultra Soft behind Giggs right now as we head towards the 90-degree section then through 18 and then 19. Very difficult to try and make a move here. It's pretty much single file now as we head towards the start-finish line. And Demon there has already got a 2.1 second lead. He'll cross the start-finish line to finish the first lap. Demon is your leader then. Francis in 2nd. Sergey 3rd. Alex Musica 4th. Alex 25th. Dan the Snake 6th. Drez 7th. Giggs in 8th. Mike Tynus 9th. Roadhouse in 10th. Jamie James 11th. Solid Ninja State 12th. Elite Game Boy 13th. Apex in 14th. Cronexus 15th. And Pit Matt in 16th place.
Yes, and you said that you've seen no contact. Well, I've looked at a different part of the field for the start to see if there was any contact in the back, and well, there was a little bit of contact, but nothing major, no debris, no front wing damage, as Dan the Snake now moves up another position as he takes FAP Alex 20 here into turn 7 without DRS, by the way. That is not activated yet, so a very, very good move here, just using the slipstream and a little bit of his ERS to make the move stick, get past another Hypersoft runner. Dan the Snake is cutting through the field right now.
Drez there making contact with Alex 20 through the Singapore sling, and or the old Singapore sling I should say. That's a Ferrari trying to go up the inside of a McLaren there. Not sure if there was any contact at all, but Jamie James is desperate to get that move stuck there. Yeah, Drez just caught the tyre there of Alex 20 in front of him. Alex 20 had a little bit of a slide on, but managed to keep a hold of it. Meanwhile then, that is the Ferrari of Jamie James making his way through and past the Roadhouse there, and the Roadhouse on those Ultra Soft tyres. Obviously they're fresh, so are Jamie James's, so they're battling for position. They're going to be rivals throughout this race. Meanwhile, Mike Tynus there trying to find a way past Giggs. Didn't quite happen for him that time around, but he's really in a Ferrari sandwich here, as that could be the Ferrari. Yes, it is. Giggs is in on lap 2. At the end of lap 2, he's coming on those Hypersoft tyres. Definitely not happy with the wear. Here comes Jamie James trying to go up the inside of the Williams of Mike Tynus there. No room for him. The door slams shut, and the Roadhouse here is looking for that opportunity as we've got contact in the background there. Who's that? Apex is around and has lost his front wing. Well, he's must have hit the wall somewhere. I think he's gone to the menu to retire the car. We'll have a wait and see. Bottom of your screen. But I just heard that contact behind me as I was riding on board with the McLaren there. But that looks like Apex has left the session. So his car will be running around as a ghost. So there's yellow flags out. We'll have to keep an eye on that top left-hand corner, see if it develops into anything. We've also got Drez there getting past Alex 20. And that looked a really easy move going towards turn 10 there. So I wonder if Alex 20 made some sort of mistake. Did he hit the wall? Either way, Drez is ahead of him now, and the two Haas's are having a good day so far. Currently 3rd and 6th. I think Sergey has for a while been wanting his teammate Drez to do a good job now, as we see the Williams here of Mike Tynus drove up the inside of Alex 20 as we head through turn 14. Very tight there. Important to get the traction as we head through turn 15, then through 16. The Williams has the inside line as the Sauber wants to hold the inside line for turn 16 and has just about done it. Clean, fair fighting here as Mike Tynus trying to go up the inside through the stadium section now, literally, as we head through turn 19 towards turn 20, and Mike Tynus couldn't quite find a way past. Meanwhile, Sergey is into the pits, as is Francis, and Alex 20 gets a 5-second stop go for gaining a position corner cutting. So that will have to be served at his next pit stop then. So we've got Demon into the pits as well as Francis, Sergey and Alex 20. So Alex Musica then leads the way, but look who's behind him. It's Dan the Snake on those ultra soft tyres. Meanwhile, Jamie James has got a little bit of a train forming now. He's got Mike Tynus, the two McLarens of the Roadhouse and Solid Ninja Snake, as well as Elite Game Boy and the Red Bull. Crow Nexus looking to try and take advantage. They'll all have DRS off each other then, and here comes the Red Bull of Elite Game Boy, looking at side by side with Solid Ninja Snake as they head down towards turn number 7 here. Very reminiscent there, a McLaren and a Red Bull. Let's hope it doesn't end the same way as Elite Game Boy goes up the inside, going through turn 8 there as they head towards turn 9. Elite Game Boy is going to be on the outside here. Very risky move, but he's made the move stick. Yes, he has. Great move from Elite Game Boy as we head towards the old Singapore Sling, but he runs a little too deep there. But luckily for him, the exit there compromises Solid Ninja Snake there. As you can see, he just wants to try and find a way past, but no dice. Great move from the Red Bull there.
Yes, and meanwhile, I've got a little bit more information on why Giggs was coming into the pits at the end of lap 2. He had some front wing damage, so I looked at him in the pits. He changed his front wing, which cost him quite a bit of time. He's still in front of Alex 20, who I reckon, by the way he drove, completely overheated his tires there. He had a whole train forming behind him, and he also caught that penalty, 5 seconds stop and go for corner cutting and gaining a place. Very, very unfortunate, because the car was very much uncontrollable on these overheated hypersoft tires for him, as now Drez comes into the pits as well, and Mike Tynus. Everyone who came into the pits so far, except for Apex, who is, well, I mean, he's out of the race. He's running as a ghost, but everyone else has gone onto the softs. Drez now breaking with that rule, as he is the first one to put on the ultra soft. So for Drez, this is 100% a two-stop strategy. He will not be able to take these ultra softs to the end of the race, so he will have to come in once again and put on probably another set of ultra softs. I reckon he can make them last long enough to do a two-stop hyper to ultra, but that is definitely going to hurt him, as it is not that easy on this track here to overtake, but he does have a lot of free running right now. He's over 5 seconds behind Sergey, his teammate, who might even let him through based on the strategy, knowing that Drez has to come in another time and Sergey probably doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be interested to see what that team order is like. Obviously, we've got Sergey batting from the championship, but Drez on arguably a faster strategy. Well, certainly the faster tyre for now. We'll have to see whether it's a faster strategy towards the end of the race. Alex Musica, though, on these hypersoft tyres, is he about to complete his 5th lap on them? No, he's about to come into the pit lane then. So a little bit of a battle developing between the Williams and the Toro Rosso, but Dan the Snake then on the ultra softs will inherit the lead of the race. Meanwhile then, Demon rejoined in 9th place. He is now 6.8 seconds behind Pitmat, making his one and only stop. We've got yellow flags in sectors 2 and 3. So we'll have to have an investigate. They're gone now, though, as Francis picks up a 3-second time penalty. So it might have been someone just running a little bit wide. Crow Nexus then 4 tenths behind Solid Ninja Snake, as Alex Music is still in the pit lane, dropping down the order. Sergey then is in 11th place, but he's 21 seconds behind. I believe that was Alex Musica, so that's why that was that. 2.6, that's better, behind... oh, sorry, Sergey's 4 tenths behind Alex Musica. So Alex Musica actually rejoined in front, as they're battling now as we head through turn 5 now. Crow Nexus and Solid Ninja Snake. Well, Crow Nexus has managed to find a way through, so the Mercedes is through, and Sergey has found a way past Alex Musica. Probably on the traction there. A little bit colder tyres from Sergey, as Austin mentioned, all the way back in Germany. It's great when you put on the harder set of tyres, but it does take a lap or two to actually warm them up. That's the advantage that Sergey had, and he's used that advantage to perfection, as Pitman then picks up a 3-second time penalty. Alex Musica then starting to drop back with those cold tyres. He's got to warm them up before he can start to make the moves then. Solid Ninja Snake, who started, remember, on those soft tyres, is keeping up with Crow Nexus. Crow Nexus made that move earlier on in the lap, but he's not letting him getting too far away at the moment. As long as he can stay within DRS range, he's got a good chance of ruining Crow Nexus's day with the strategy. Now, with the ultra soft tyres, obviously we are expecting those that started on the ultra soft tyres to be pitting around about lap 9. That is when the pit window opens, and it shuts at lap 11. Those who started on the soft tyres, the pit window opens on lap 19. So a long way to go for them, over half distance on those soft tyres, but it shows them they are durable and they can make it.
Yes, definitely. And the Ultra Softs are actually a little bit more durable than that. They can go longer than just 11 laps, which is why we see some drivers running the two-stop here, like Drez and, well, only Drez for now. But he's gonna have to take these Ultra Softs for, give me a sec, for 13 to 14 laps. So he's going to have to take him a little bit longer, but it is possible, that is for sure. They might drop off a little bit, but not by much. However, I think the soft is the best racing tire for here. I have seen in another league that I cast, where we already had the Singapore Grand Prix about 3 weeks ago. I've seen that you can take these softs quite a long distance. I think the longest I've seen was 28 laps. So it is possible, and with no time loss really through the whole stint. If you can really manage these tires and keep the tire wear low and the temperatures within the working range, these softs are almost OP.
That's not a phrase I was expecting to hear tonight, but it's a phrase I've heard anyway. soft tires may be the way to go then. So Solid Ninja Snake, Pit Matt, they might have been onto something. Obviously they started outside of the top 10, and Solid Ninja Snake only just outside the top 10 as well, but he decided to put on those soft tyres and try and make them last as long as possible, at least until lap 19. And even then, as you said, Austin, you can take them further and further on. Pitmat then, who started on the soft tyres, is now under pressure from Demon, who's made his one and only planned stop as we make our way through turn 5. And old soft tyres versus fresher soft tyres. Only 3 laps separates them, but here they come then through turn 5, and Demon with the DRS then as he heads down towards turn 7 makes that move look really, really easy then. But I don't think Pitmat put up too much of a fight then, because he knew they're both on different strategies. There's no point losing time to someone who's already made their stop and probably would have found the way past anyway.
Yeah, that is to be expected in this scenario. Meanwhile, I'm taking a little look at Solid Ninja Snake, who dropped a little bit back from Cronexus. 7/10, 8/10 now. He was keeping up for the most part. He's still within the DRS window, but it seems like Cronexus has found a little bit of speed on these ultra soft tires. He's gotten used to them maybe, as Solid Ninja Snake now dropping out of the 1 second window. What usually happens when you have 2 runners that started on different tires in the same lap is that the harder compound gets more and more viable as it is more durable, so they can keep the same speed, the same pace up longer. As then the Snake now already coming into the pits at the end of lap 8. That is before the pit window. That is very early.
Very early, but if he puts on the soft tyres, he could try and ink those tyres out to the end. I think he realised he was under pressure from Demon there, maybe thought he was losing time to Demon as well, so decides to cut his losses there as Demon then makes his way up to P6. We'll have to see where Dan the Snake rejoins then. There he is behind Sergey then. So Dan the Snake still well in this championship fight, and with the last couple of races he's had, it's fair to say Dan the Snake is definitely not out of this one. He rejoins in 10th place then. Alex Musica is right behind him, and this is the same scenario we saw between Sergey and Alex Musica about 3 laps ago. Obviously, Dan the Snake is on cold, soft tyres. He's got to warm them up. That takes about a lap and a half. It's a little bit shorter because it's the Singapore Grand Prix and the track temperature and the ambient temperature is a lot higher than it would be at other circuits. But as you can see, that Dan the Snake has done well to fend off the attacking Alex Musica, the attacking Williams then, as we head down towards turn 10. But Sergey then has got ahead of Dan the Snake. 1.4 seconds is the gap. But obviously, Sergey started on those hypersoft tyres. 5-lap-old soft tyres, come to the end of the race here, and the front runners who pitted really early on their hypersoft tyres might find a way through. Here comes Francis then, coming down towards turn 14, and again making that move on Pitmat seem really easy. I think that's half the reason Pitmat's not putting up too much of a fight with these cars behind. He knows they're on a different strategy. He knows he's just got to focus on his own race and not lose as much time as possible. But, well, he knows that's entirely possible to still finish in a good position. He just has to focus on his own race. Demon, meanwhile, heading towards Solid Ninja because Crow Nexus there wanted to come into the pit lane, but got a little bit caught up on the curbs there. Got to be careful because it can award you a stop-go penalty for cutting that corner because, well, technically you have. So he's got to be careful there coming into the pit lane. I think he got away with it though. So a very, very lucky boy indeed. Solid Ninja State trying to do his best to fend off Demon here as we head in the DRS zone towards turn 6, and you can see Demon going up the inside, and Solid Ninja State almost moves to one side to let Demon through. And well, Demon obviously was a little bit disappointed about last week. He went in full guns blazing, saying he was going to win the race. Didn't quite work out for him, and a little bit of a modest approach today, and he finds himself third place and the leader of the hyper soft to soft runners.
Yeah, now he has to just bring it home. And again, the issue with hypersoft to soft is that you will have to take these tires a long distance, a very long distance. And I'm interested to see whether these tires can hold up until the end of the race, or whether someone like Dan the Snake, who again we talked about it in the qualifying, has the strategic advantage. Now he goes on Pip Matt and he makes the move stick. That looked very easy as well, just like it was pretty much a copycat of Francis overtaking Matt in the last lap. And it seems like Matt is really struggling with these soft tires. Does he have front wing damage? He's letting people through. He's letting Alex Musica through, pulling over to the side. What is he doing?
Well, I think he's trying to preserve his strategies. We see the Roadhouse pitting in then from those ultra soft tires, and Pit Matt coming in. So maybe there was front wing damage. Keep an eye on that, Austin. See what happens in the pit lane. Meanwhile, we've got Mike Tynus here, as Pit Matt has actually retired from the session in the pit lane. So unfortunate then, he becomes our second retirement of the race. The Mercedes driver, for whatever reason, retiring in the pit lane. Meanwhile, Mike Tynus, here he goes then, up the inside of Giggs, in towards turn 1, and the Williams here makes the move stick then, and Giggs falls a position. But you can see Elite Game Boy here on much fresher soft tyres is watching this battle here, and his eyes are just starting to perk up a little bit. He knows there's two positions up for grabs here, and this could be a route into the points for the Red Bull driver, into the DRS zone, into the slipstream of Giggs then, as we head through turn 5, coming down towards turn 6. The Red Bull thinks about making a move up the inside, but is a little bit too far back to try and make that move. Alex 20, meanwhile, on the soft tyres, obviously had a little bit of trouble at the start of the race. Finds himself behind Crow Nexus in P14 at the moment. Closest battle on track is this battle here, the battle for the last point position. Mike Tynus, Giggs and Elite Game Boy, with Crow Nexus and Alex 20 keen to join this battle too. We see the Ferrari there running very close to the gearbox of the Williams, coming through turn 13 then. Very easy to lock those brakes, but credit to Giggs there, didn't falter under the braking. As we head towards turn 14 then, you've got the Ferrari really piling on the pressure. But someone else who's piling on the pressure is Elite Game Boy. So watch this battle with a little bit of intent here. Jamie James is into the pits from second place, and we'll be putting on a set of soft tyres that'll get him to the end of the race for sure. For absolute sure he's going to make it to the end of the race on the soft tyres. Might come back to benefit him. A couple of laps on those soft tyres that he doesn't need to do coming towards the end of the race might benefit him, as Elite Game Boy picks up a 3-second time penalty. We see now lots of battles developing as Jamie James here trying to battle with Drez as we head towards turn 5. Jamie James up the inside of Drez then, trying to keep it outside of the wall. Drez thought he was going to oversteer, took evasive action, and you can see there Drez has got back in front with the DRS. So a great defensive display from Drez then, as he holds on to P7 then. Jamie James on fresh soft tyres, wants to make this move as soon as possible. Drez, of course, is on the two-stop strategy, so he's got to get past Jamie James, and otherwise this is going to cost him a lot of time. Is there any way past in the old Singapore sling coming towards turn 10? I think he's smart enough to realise that move is not on, but look how close he is as we head across Anderson Bridge then towards the hairpin of turn 13. Thought about a move up the inside, but not quite. Got to get the exit right then as we head up towards turn 14. Meanwhile then Francis up ahead is under pressure now from Sergey and Dan the Snake. This is the battle for third place. Demon leads then on lap 12, 4.8 ahead of a yet to stop Solid Ninja Snake, with Francis in third, Sergey fourth, Dan the Snake in fifth, Alex Musica sixth, Drez in seventh, locked in a battle with Jammy James for 8th place. Then it's the Roadhouse in 9th, Mike Tynus in 10th, Elite Game Boy in 11th, Cronexus 12th, Gigs in 13th, Alex 20 in 14th. Apex has retired, running around as a ghost car. Oh, as the Ferrari of Jammy James taps the wall there. That's not going to help his front aero. Did he get away with no damage? Well, Drez still in front then, and you can see the Ferrari with DRS closing and closing. Wanted to have a look up the inside of turn one, but backed out of the move there, so not quite confident then. Solid Ninja Snake has got a little bit of a train behind him here. Francis here, is he going to look for a move down the inside in towards turn 7? He is. The McLaren there has to go off the track then to try and avoid any contact, and again, a bit of a similar situation to what Pitmat was going through. I don't think he's going to battle these cars too hard because he's on a different strategy. He started on those soft tyres. He wants to take them as long as possible. Here comes Dan the Snake through, and that should be P10. Yep, you can see there's Solid Ninja Snake not going to battle for that position. He knows he's on a different strategy. He knows he has to stop still, so he's not going to risk that for a battle, for a position that he won't be in after his soft tyre stint. But I'll have to gain that back through the ultra-soft stint towards the end of the race.
Yeah, meanwhile, Cronexus has retired from the race, and Jammy James has retaken that position from Drez in turn 7. He made the move stick, got the overtake done, and he is in front of Drez, who's, again, still needs to make another pit stop. He will not be able to take these ultra-softs to the end. So, good position here for Jammy James. He is probably going to try to hunt down Alex Musica next. The gap right now 6.6 seconds, but it is closing down ever so slightly, and he still has a lot of time. Don't forget, we're not even to the halfway point of this race, so he still has a long time to go here and make some moves, close the gap, make some moves on Alex Musica, and maybe get involved in the fight for P3 right now, or P2 rather, between Francis, Sergey. There is some contact with the... Oh no, there was the Force India of Apex that was in the middle there, the ghost car, that made it look really confusing there, but there was no contact from what I saw. Comprehending the images that my eyes were watching, but that looked wild. Thankfully, Apex is a ghost car though. So no issues there, but Francis, Sergey, and Dan fighting for second here. I think this is going to be very intense towards the end of the race. Dan the Snake obviously with the better tires, on the better strategy, but he needs to make the moves on track. No pit stops from any of these drivers anymore, so he needs to make the moves here where it matters the most, on track. And if he doesn't, he will stay in 4th place. Although he might be able to play for penalties here. Always a thing to watch out for here at Singapore. Penalties, we've seen already a couple of them during this race so far. So we might see some more. I wouldn't be surprised. Demon, for example, not Demon, sorry. Demon doesn't have a single warning. But Francis already has a penalty. Sergey has a warning. Dan, not a single warning. Solid Ninja Snake has a warning. Alex Musica has a penalty. So we see some drivers already picking up the penalties, others only warnings. That will be something that I will come back to later, and that we're going to have to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. So Drez comes in, and that looks like it's going to be his second and final stop of the day. He's done 10 laps on those ultra soft tyres, so we'll see what happens then. Sergey, meanwhile, in the slipstream of Francis, we head down towards turn 7. Thought about the move and then backed out of it. So interesting from Sergey then, not confident to make the move, and whilst he's behind Francis then, Francis is almost 8 seconds, make that now, 8 seconds behind Demon. Demon is just going away and building that gap to the car behind, and Sergey, who's caught behind Francis now, just can't seem to find that way through, and this is going to hurt that championship battle. Obviously Sergey didn't get a great result out in Italy. In fact, he retired from the race last time out, so this is where he needs to really find that form again And at the moment, he's not going to find this form behind the Renault of Francis then. Solid Ninja Snake and Alex Musica. Again, Solid Ninja Snake is probably going to take these tyres up to lap 19, so he's got at least 5 more laps on these tyres. He's now under pressure from Alex Musica as we head towards turn 16, then through 17, and you can see Alex Musica has so much more grip. 5 laps is the gap, or the age gap between these two tyres as we head underneath the stadium then. And again, like I said in qualifying, through these 90-degree corners, there's not really a great opportunity or a heavy braking zone to try and just, you know, stick it up the inside and try and get a nose ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Drez is stuck in the pit lane right now. He wanted to check on the soft compound tires for his final stint, but he is stuck in the pit lane right now. There's nothing happening right there. He's been standing there for over a minute now, and nothing is happening. It seems like he's out of the race pretty much.
Well, that is terrible to hear then, as we see Elite Game Boy.
That is very unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, something going on in the Haas pit crew then, so not quite sure what's happening, but if that is the end of Drez's race, that is heartbreaking for the Haas crew. Maybe they have the same problem they had in real life at Australia. Maybe the wheel gun failed and the wheels fallen off and something's not going on. Either way though, Drez has had a nightmare then. Elite Game Boy looks like trying to find a way past Mike Tynus there. Not finding the way past though, as the Red Bull continues to fight. Got a little bit dicey going through the first couple of corners between those two, but no contact made, and Elite Game Boy didn't have to do a little bit of evasive action, but he still has a front wing, so he can call that a little bit of a success then. France is still in P2 with Sergey right behind him, and Dan the Snake ready to put on that pressure. Remember, he has, I believe, that is 5 laps difference between the tyres. So come the end of the race then, Dan the Snake is going to have that advantage. Now, if it's going to be a huge advantage, we'll have to wait and see. We'll see what that will actually mean towards the end of the race though. As Demon then starts lap 17, we're over halfway through this Grand Prix. 9.2 seconds separates Demon from this battle for second place then. France is holding on for now. And Sergey then seems to get close in the DRS zones, but then just doesn't seem to want to make the move then. Seems a bit reluctant to make the pass. Maybe he thinks he's happy with P3, or maybe he doesn't want to risk losing more points to Demon than he has to. If he makes that mistake then, of course, that gap will open up even more. And when you look at the gap right now, I mean, the gap between them will be at 10 points as it stands, increased. So 10 points... Demon will outscore Sergey as it stands, so it's not the end of the world. But if Dan the Snake were to find a way past, and that's even more points, as Francis taps the wall there, and that could have been an opportunity for Sergey as we head through turn 9. Andres has left the session then, so that is the end of his day. Really unfortunate for the Haas driver then, as Sergey wanted to try and find a way past before the Singapore sling, but he couldn't quite find that way past. Of course, these cars, you know, they're massive. They don't look that big, but they are. So trying to get that nose in front, especially around a street circuit like the Singapore Grand Prix, especially coming towards turn 10 and then coming towards turn 13, it is not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah, I reckon Sergey is gonna try to hold on to this third place, especially with Dan the Snake behind him, considering again that Sergey only has a 4-point advantage on Dan. And if these two switch positions, that advantage would melt down to just 1 single point. So Sergey probably is thinking, hey, let Francis take second. I'm not going to fight for this unless I really get an opportunity to do so. He even drives out of the slipstream to not get too close, it almost seemed like. That was very interesting to watch on the start-finish straight. But, yeah, I mean, you know the saying, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. And if you get that third place secured, that's worth more than the prospect of getting second place or maybe having a collision with Francis and losing not just second and third, but maybe even fourth and more. However, I think he might be inclined to increase the risk the closer these drivers get to the end of the race, because the risk gets lower, because even if you do have some kind of incident, you will not lose as much time because you won't have to come into the pits, especially in the last lap. Even if you get some front wing damage, you won't have to come into the pits. you will lose a couple seconds on track, but that's about it, and you will not lose as many positions. So Sergey right now looking to just stay with Francis, maybe even thinking further ahead, saying, you know what, I'm going to save my tires here. I'm going to make sure I manage my tires, put Francis under a little bit of pressure as much as I need to make him wear out his tires faster, and then towards the end of the race, when his tires are more worn than Sergey's, then the move is going to come. It's going to be a lot easier, and maybe Dan the Snake will be able to slip through as well.
Lap 19 of the Singapore Grand Prix, and Demon leads the way from Francis, Sergey and Dan the Snake. That battle you're seeing for second place right there, and Francis picks up a 3-second time penalty. So correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, that's 6 seconds worth of penalties there, and that's going to drop him all the way to 5th place, I believe, as it stands. But obviously that's without anybody else getting a penalty. Here comes Sergey then in the slipstream. Does he look for a move now? He's a lot closer than he was before. Going to go round the outside of turn number 7. And he's going to be off the road here. But he's going to have the inside then for turn number 8. And is this the move that Sergey's been waiting for? Yes, it is. Sergey moves up to P2. All that waiting has paid off then, and Francis is now under a huge amount of pressure from Dan the Snake here, wanting to have a look up the inside of the old Singapore sling, but not quite. And, well, Sergey finds himself now up to P2, but the gap to the car ahead is 11.5 seconds. I wonder if now Sergey's going to raise that engine, turn up the ERS, and see what he can do to try and catch him. Francis then has got Dan the Snake to deal with. He'll want to try and keep up with Sergey. As long as he keeps in the DRS zone, he's still got a good chance of taking back that second place. But a great move from Sergey then, capitalising on a Francis mistake that happened in the first couple of corners then of the lap. And he's finally got the way past. Did I hear contact then with the wall from Francis? Be pretty interesting to see.
I didn't see any. I didn't have the camera angle for that, unfortunately, so I can't help you on that. But I am surprised to see Sergey already making that overtake. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure he is gonna try to increase his pace now a little bit. Try to maybe, you know, be a little less worried about the tire wear, because not because he maybe wants to catch Demon. I think that ship has sailed. I think 11 seconds is too much to make up on someone who's on very similar pace as you are. I think Demon and Sergey, the championship shows, are two very similar drivers in terms of pace, so it's very hard to gain a second a lap on someone who you're battling with in the championship when you're both on the same tires, the same strategy. I don't see that happen, but he will still try to go a little bit faster just to get rid of Francis, just to, you know, get a gap out to him. Although at the same time it might be smart for Sergey to keep Francis behind him, close behind him. Because as long as Francis has that DRS, it will be a lot harder for Dan to overtake. And now we're talking about 6 points between Sergey and Dan. It is a risky game, though. It does come with the possibility of Francis overtaking him back, and then maybe even Dan slipping through. So he's going to have to weigh his options here. Either try to keep Francis within that 1 second window, or drive out and just get 3 points on Dan the Snake, because the moment Francis has no more DRS, I think will be the moment that Dan overtakes him.
Yeah, absolutely. The DRS detection point, we've just passed it, and I believe the gap was just enough then to stay out of the DRS zone. So it was. So I think he's going for the latter strategy you offered there, Austin. He's willing to try and get away from Dan the Snake, to try and get away from Francis and see if Dan the Snake can try and make that move. Now Francis is not going to have any DRS, but we've already seen he's put up a good fight as Elite Game Boy picks up a 3-second time penalty. Dan the Snake then right on the gearbox. This is it then. Will he go to the outside or the inside? He'll go to the outside through turn number 5 then. And has he got the move done? Yes, he has. Dan the Snake in front then, up to P3. And that gamble for Sergey then hasn't paid off. Francis down to P4. And Dan the Snake then onto the podium paying positions. And for Toro Rosso, it's a 1-3 at the moment. So it's a great day for them. And it will further extend their lead in the championship as we head through the old Singapore sling. Now, what's the pace like between Sergey and Dan the Snake? As Alex 20 then sets the fastest lap of the race. 1:38.2 then down in P12. He's currently trying to battle away with Giggs then for P11. And, well, he's on those fast, ultra-soft tyres, ready to just go towards the end. We have 11 laps to go, 10.5 if you're picky. And Demon still leads the way then through turn 19, coming through 20 and then 21. And very shortly, we'll be within 10 laps to go. 12 seconds is the gap between himself and Sergey. And I think you're right, Austin. Barring a mistake from Demon, this ship may have sailed, but it's not over yet. We've still got 10 laps till the checkered flag at one of the most demanding circuits on the calendar. It doesn't get any tougher than this. You might be leading the race. Next thing you know, you might be in the wall with only 3 tyres attached to your car. It can be that easy to get it wrong, because I know from experience how easy it is to just lose that little bit of concentration, miss that braking point, and find yourself into the wall and going from hero to zero. Running on ball with Elite Game Boy as he's still trying to battle away with Mike Tynus. This is a battle that has gone on for quite a number of laps now. Battle for P8 at the moment as they make their way around the final corner. And Elite Game Boy still with the DRS as we head towards turns 1, 2 and 3. And the Red Bull driver locking the tyre just a little bit there, front left, as we headed through turn 1. But you can see they're really trying to prioritise the traction zones. And as we head towards turn 5 now, using, well, going over that curb with 2 wheels. Half a car at least on the other side of that curb, so that's okay. But you can see Elite Game Boy, he is closing on him on the straights, but for some reason it's not working through the corners. And that's so rare to say from a Red Bull there, that it's not so good through the corners. We see Giggs here under pressure from Alex 20 now as we head through towards turn 5. Alex 20, of course, will have the DRS as Giggs taps the wall there. Didn't see any debris fly off, so he might have got away with it. But Alex 20 here closing on the Ferrari in the Sauber. Looks for a move down the inside, going in towards turn 7. Gets himself a 3-second time, but he loses that back end as we head towards turn 8. Going around the outside, but Giggs slams the door shut. No way through for the Sauber. And for the Ferrari, that's a benefit, really, because, of course, Alex 20 has that 3-second time penalty that's added on to the end of his race. That's going to be really tough then for the Sauber to make it past on the timing screens then. Back with the battle for P8 then, Mike Tynus and Elite Game Boy. Elite Game Boy really close to him now as we head through turn 18 and 19 underneath the grandstands. As we head now towards 20 and 21, the important thing is following the car in front, making sure you don't make a mistake, sticking to your line, which is so difficult to do when you're following the car in front. You think you'll just sort of lull yourself into that false security of their racing line rather than sticking to your own. It's happened to some drivers over the years as we now head through turn 3 with Elite Game Boy, and it's looking for the traction. He loses that back end at the crucial point, trying to go through turn 3 there. Now coming towards turn 5, and you can see that distance that Mike Tynus has, and that seems to be the frustrating thing for Elite Game Boy time and time again. This time though, he's closing at quite a rate of knots, goes for it down the inside into turn 7. Contact between the Red Bull and the Williams then as we head towards turn 8, and Elite Game Boy backs out of the move there. So, well, it was a little bit desperate there, Elite Game Boy. Loses the back end and hits the wall. Oh, Elite Game Boy battling away for 8th place then. Hits the wall. And is he going to reverse it? I think he's gone into the menu and he has retired from the race. Battling with Mike Tynus for P8. It's the end of the road for the Red Bull. And that promotes Solid Ninja Snake, and it will promote Alex 20 up to the points then. Disaster for Elite Game Boy, and it becomes our, I believe that's our now 5th retirement of the race.
Indeed.
Oh, Giggs is locked up. Giggs is locked up as well. I think he lost his reference point from the Red Bull there, and he's gone straight on at the Singapore sling, and that's a big amount of damage to the front wing. That's heartbreaking for Giggs, and you can see on the right hand side, sorry to interrupt you there, Austin.
No, totally fine. My goodness, that is a lot of drama happening right now. I mean, a little bit more focused on the battle that is, well, a little bit remote right now between Dan the Snake and Sergey. Now Dan the Snake, for the first time in a long time, within 1 second of Sergey, he is closing in. Now these fresher tires, 5 laps difference, are really coming into play, and we are looking right now 1, 2, 3 in this race are 1, 2, 3 in the standings. So this right here has some major championship implications between Sergey and Dan the Snake. Dan the Snake, by the way, I've been riding on board with him for a good amount of the last 3 laps. He is hitting the walls quite hard. He is really maximizing the track to, I mean, beyond what he probably should be, but so far he got away with it. But he's playing a very dangerous and risky game. One time he hits the wall a little bit too hard, that will be some front wing damage, and that will cost him some serious time and positions. So he needs to play it a little bit safer, I think. Maybe right there, once again, on the entry of turn 22 and 23, hits the wall there. It looks almost calculated, but at the same time, I find it very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's Giggs there coming out of the pit lane with a new front wing on the ultra soft tyres that, well, definitely will get him to the end of the race. Maybe he can get himself a fastest lap of the race then. Lap 25, 7 laps to go. And you can see there Sergey still trying to pull away. Obviously in the DRS zone, he's getting closed in by Dan the Snake. The gap is now half a second. Francis there in P4, looking for a bit of good fortune in these races. And it looks like something's finally gone his way. Alex Musica in P5 there. Jamie James, last time out, the race winner, in P6. Roadhouse in 7th place. Mike Tynus in 8th. Solid Insnake in 9th, with Alex 20 in 10th place in the last point position. Chrome Nexus has retired from the race, but Giggs is still running and looking like he'll try and close in. So Giggs should be able to get 11th place by the end of this race. And we've got Apex, Elite, Game Boy, Drez and Pitmat all retired from the race. And Austin, this battle between Sergey and Dan the Snake as we head through turn 14 looks like it's heating up.
It definitely is. And again, I'm watching Dan the Snake. It is incredible how often he hits the wall, and it doesn't do any damage if you just hit it slightly. That is the good thing here. But at the same time, some of these hits were rather violent, and I am surprised he still has a full front wing on his car and not even an end plate missing or not even a winglet missing. I am surprised, but he's in the DRS range now. He was under half a second coming out of turn 13 and into 14 when he went over the Esplanade Drive behind Sergey, and maybe this might be the run here actually. Nah, he's a little bit too far away, I reckon, but he could get closer here. But he needs to get within, I would say, probably 3/10 at the start of this straight, at the start of Raffles Boulevard here, to have a run on Sergey. He does come close on the brakes, though. It seems to me that Dan the Snake has a little bit of an advantage over Sergey on the brakes, in the braking zone, so more than he should have, considering that he obviously can brake a little bit later since he is behind Sergey. But even more so. So maybe this will be what decides this fight right here. That Dan the Snake has the better braking ability as they both move past the ghost of Cronexus here. Really hard to judge the braking point when a ghost is riding in front of you and you maybe are missing a brake marker. You're not seeing it, but Dan the Snake handled it very well. Now through the 90-degree section here, turns 16 to 21, and it is getting a lot closer and closer, but not close enough yet for Dan the Snake.
I was going to say there, Dan the Snake going into turn 18 seemed to overcook his entry there. Very lucky not to hit the wall and get a little bit of damage there. As you can see, that 25 Ferrari is Giggs. It is not Jamie James. Giggs, who is now a lap down on the leaders after having to make that stop. We've also got another battle developing here. Alex Musica and Francis then. I believe with Alex Musica picking up a 3-second time lead, they're both on 6 seconds. This is a battle on track then. Oh, they're not.
No, Alex Musica is on 9 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still a good on-track battle then. Francis sort of falling into the clutches of Alex Musica. We've got Sergey and Dan the Snake to be watching as well. So 2 battles going on in this one. And one person who has been really faultless in this race has been Demon so far. Lap 27 of this Grand Prix. And, well, 13.6 ahead. If there was any indication or any marker he wanted to set down for the last couple of races this season, this was definitely the race he wanted. I think this is the race he wanted last time out.
Oh, definitely. And this time he does get it. All he needs to do is now bring it home, and he will get 25 points. He will be the first of the 3 drivers to cross the 200-point mark in the championship standings. However, both drivers behind him, Sergey... Oh, no, wait, no. Dan the Snake needs to overtake Sergey to get past the 200. Otherwise, he would be stuck with 199. But it's still very close at the front. It would only be 20 points between Demon and Dan if the race finishes this way. And between Demon and Sergey, we are talking about 13 points if it stays the way it is.
Well, exciting battles all the way through then. And hopefully you'll be joining F3 for those battles. 3 people still in a championship hunt. And it's harsh to say Pitmat might be out of it, but he is an outside chance then. You can say mathematically in it, but with this recent retirement, it seems really difficult for Pitmat to actually get that momentum that he needs for the final couple of races.
Yeah, indeed. He's at 148 points now. He will not get any as he already retired. He was the first retirement of the day. So that means if Demon wins, we're talking about 71 points difference. 71 points in 6 races. I think it is mathematically possible. That is for sure. But he would have to gain 12 points a race. That means he would have to win them all, and Demon would have to come 4th or worse every time. I don't see that happening.
Well, they say anything can happen in Formula 1. Dan the Snake then closing in on Sergey, and it seems like this sort of period where you're so close to the car ahead, you want to make that overtake, but you're just waiting for the right time to do it. But it's that painful thing where the right time never seems to arrive, or there's always something wrong with the previous lap that means you can't take advantage. And just by the way, this battle between Francis and Alex Musica has brought the attentions of Jamie James. So Jamie James here could actually pit P4 in this one, so keep an eye on that battle as Alex Musica taps the wall there. It cost him a little bit of time. And on those soft tyres, I mean, Francis is on 25 lap old soft tyres. I mean, they are coming towards the end of their life now for sure. So he's got to be really careful. He'll be managing those tyres as much as he possibly can as Giggs picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Looking at that battle between Sergey and Dan the Snake, it looks like he's quite close this time. Where's he going to try and move down into turn 7? He just fills those Haas mirrors with Toro Rosso colours. Meanwhile, jumping back on board with this battle for 4th place, then Francis goes defensive, takes the inside line for turn 7, but runs wide. Alex Musica, does he have a chance to go up the inside of turn 8? Thinks about it, but backs out of it. Francis parks his car on the apex there and doesn't let the Williams have a chance. Meanwhile, the Ferrari of Jamie James is just hanging back. He's probably asked Jeff what the penalties are like for the cars in front, and he's probably told him, don't panic. It's all okay. It's all in our favour. Just let them battle.
Yeah. Jamie James does not have a single penalty. Alex Musica has 3, so 9 seconds, and Francis has 2, so 6 seconds. So just for Jamie James, Jeff is probably going to tell him, just stay behind them and just wait. Maybe they're going to battle. Maybe they're going to mess up even more. Just stay penalty free. Don't do anything stupid. Don't try to go for an overtake that maybe isn't on, and bring home 4th place. That is Jamie James really getting into form, I have to say. The win last race in Monza. He also got a 6th place in Britain, 2 7th places in Austria and France, a win in Canada. Jamie James, if we exclude the DNF in Belgium, Even the 8th place in Hungary is decent result. But here he goes down around the outside, turn 1. But Alex Musica went deep, and so Jamie James had to back out of it. He saw Alex Musica braking a little bit too late. No space there on the outside. But yeah, if we exclude the 12th place in Germany as well, then he's very, very much on form in the last 8 races. 2 wins, a 6th place, 2 7th places, and an 8th place. And here he can get a 4th if he plays his cards right.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really trying to look for a way past Alex Musica, trying to make this move work, and that's allowing Francis to just get back and get that gap that he needs. Riding aboard with Sergey then. As you can see, those tyres have really seen better days. And down the snake, this is where the tyre advantage could come into play then. He'll be managing his tyres, Sergey, towards the end of the race. Down the snake, won't be worrying about that so much unless he's got a really aggressive setup. But Demon here coming through the 90-degree section as there's a battle between Mike Titus and Solid Ninja Snake going through turn 7, now coming towards turn 8 as Solid Ninja Snake trying to go up the inside of the soft running Williams now as we head through turn 9. The Williams will have the inside line but loses the back end slightly as we head through the apex. Solid Ninja Snake up the inside of turn 10 and Giggs is out of the race. Giggs is out from 11th place. Meanwhile, Alex Musica, he's hit the wall. Oh, he's hit the wall. Going through turn 18, he must have locked up and hit the wall. And that is his race over with only 2 laps to go. Now we're on the final lap of the race. Demon leads as he heads through turn 6 now. He's been pretty much faultless all day, and we have to keep an eye on so many battles. Alex Musica and Jamie James here must have got caught up in that because they're now 10.5 seconds behind Dan the Snake. In fact, someone else must have got caught up in that as well. But Francis is now down to P6. That's why, because Francis is down to P6. So, well, there's a big battle here. This is Jamie James's chance to win this on track, 4th place. And here he goes then through turn 6 we go with the DRS, and the Williams can't really do a lot to defend. And Jamie James on track has P4. So that is great news for him. Demon heading through turn 13 then. We've got Sergey and Dan the Snake heading through turn 10. Now coming through turn 12. And then coming towards the hairpin of turn 13. So many battles to look at, and none of them have really involved this man here, Demon. He said in Italy he was going to win the race, he was going to bring home 25 points, but in the end he didn't get the result he wanted. He reloaded the wrong setup, and in the end it cost him that chance of extending his lead in the championship. This time he's made no mistake. Right setup on that car quite clearly as he makes his way through the 90-degree section for the final time, coming towards the final 2 corners. Demon is going to win the Singapore Grand Prix and extend his lead at the top of the standings then. Great drive from Demon. Here comes Sergey then. He's managed to hold off Dan the Snake heading around the final 2 corners. He'll cross the line in 2nd place, and Dan the Snake will round off the podium then in 3rd place. Great battling between those two, but Dan the Snake couldn't do enough. Jamie James then coming around the final 2 corners. Great drive from him. He picks up 4th place with Alex Musica crossing the line in 5th, but he will be classified as 6th with a 5-second time penalty added on as well for an unserved stop go that he picked up on the last lap. That promotes Francis up to P5. Here comes the Roadhouse then, coming across the line, and he'll cross the line in 7th place, and he misses out on 6th place by just 0.6 of a second. His teammate Solid Ninja Snake is now making his way through the 90-degree section then as he makes his way towards the final 2 corners. Now it's going to be 8th place for Solid Ninja Snake if his penalties serve him well, and he crosses the line then in 8th place.
He does have a penalty, and behind him Mike Tinus does not, so Mike Tinus does jump him by just half a second. So Mike Tinus in 8th place, Solid Ninja Snake in 9th. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, that's absolutely fine.
It up, and FAP Alex 20 gets the final point, his 3rd point of the season. He got 2 in Austria, and now he gets another one here at Singapore. So it seems like here for Alex 20, these countries with only red and white in the flag seem to suit him the best.
Absolutely, but there is Demon picking up his 6th win of the season and extends his lead at the top of the championship. What a race from him. Never looked in doubt. And Demon then will be really happy with that win. It's maybe the win he should have had last time out. A more modest approach this time, and it's got him the full 25 points. And we'll be waiting now for the official, unofficial results then. So Demon wins the race. 52 minutes, that race. Sergey there in P2. Dan the Stake in 3rd. Jamie James 4th with Francis in 5th. Alex Musica in 6th with the Roadhouse in 7th. Mike Tynus in 8th. Solid Ninja Snake in 9th with Alex 20 rounding out the top 10. Chrome Nexus, Apex, Gigs, Drez, Elite Game Boy and Pitmat all not making it to the checkered flag, with Gigs locking up. Pretty similar to what Daniel Ricciardo did in a Toro Rosso all those years ago, just locking up and going straight on into that Armco barrier. But win number 6 for Demon, and extending his lead at the top of the table, this time by 7 points.
Yes, so Demon is at 219 points right now. He's got a 13-point lead over Sergey with 206. And then Dan, still in it, 199, only 7 points behind Sergey and 20 behind Demon. So nothing is really lost, nothing is won. Yes, Demon increased his advantage, increased his lead, but not by much. A lot of damage control by both Sergey and Dan, who picked themselves up a 2nd and a 3rd place. As we will be going to the Russian Grand Prix at Sochi for the next race next week, same time as always, and it's gonna be exciting. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, with the Russian Grand Prix, we have to watch out for what is technically turn 1. It's actually a lot narrower than you think, and trying to go 3 wide in there is always very interesting. So, Russian Grand Prix, obviously, as Austin there said, is next week on the 10th of February, same time, 8 p.m. GMT. And then, obviously, the 17th of February, remember that it is a week break, so we don't have a race that Sunday evening. But, yeah, not many races to go, and still the championship is up for grabs then. Looks like it's going to be a 3-horse race to the finish. Austin, I can't wait.
Neither can I. I would love to have the next race right now, but unfortunately, we do have a calendar, we do have a schedule, and so next week we will be back with the Russian Grand Prix. Personally, I gotta say, one of my favorite tracks. It's very new, but one of the few tracks that are very new that I really, really like and enjoy, and I'm interested to see what the drivers are gonna do there, and it's also a track where it's very easy to pick up penalties because pretty much at every entry the curbs are very low, so it's very easy to cut over the curbs. In fact, it is needed for a fast lap time and a fast pace to cut over the curbs quite a bit, but not too much, because if you do it too much, you'll pick up a warning, and if you pick up 3 warnings, you get a penalty. So I'm very excited about that one. Who can hold it on track the best and still be fast? It's a precision challenge, if you will, more so than probably any other race on the F1 calendar.
And you know what, Austin? We had an entire Singapore Grand Prix with no safety car. Well, there you go. We've literally made history.
Indeed, we did. That is incredible. I am very much surprised by that, but hey, these drivers kept it together very well. There were obviously some retirements, very, very unfortunate ones, driver mistakes, everything happens, but no big ones, no big crashes, no safety cars needed. And that goes to show just the quality of driving here, just how clean these drivers are, and that there's not much drama, not much I mean, not much drama is wrong, but not much dirty driving going on. So really, really high quality here. So we all expect you to come back next week for the Russian Grand Prix. This has been the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy. Don't forget that. Hype Energy PS4 F3 League. My name is Austin Smith.
And my name is Kieran McGinley.
And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Take care of yourselves.